So for me, that is quite a big one, because when we are learning more and more about ourselves and learning more and more about what we want to bring into our lives, people tend to drop off because you're not necessarily for them anymore. They're not necessarily for you anymore, and that is okay. Welcome to Love in Life. Now, this month, I've been talking lots about things that are related to the heart chakra. So the theme that I've been focusing on through my emails, through my social media, through my podcast as well, is trust and relationships, which is obviously linked to the heart chakra. Now, so just to give you a roundup of what we've covered, last week I sent out an email a day just going into a little bit more detail on the different types of relationship that we would either have our trust broken, need to gain trust, we would lose trust, or our own trust was broken, like we broke our own trust, or lost trust in ourselves. The first relationship that I focused on was those of romantic relationships, because I think that is probably the one that we automatically think of, because it can be the most complicated, it can be the most heartbreaking when trust is broken, but it can also be the most satisfying as well when the trust is right. So like I looked at worrying that you're too much in a relationship or not enough maybe. I looked at staying quiet about your needs, so as you don't seem needy, so as you don't seem demanding, so as you keep the peace. I also looked at patterns. So do you attract the same type of person over and over again, like emotionally unavailable partners? I looked at struggling to let your guard down and like really feeling like you can show yourself. So we really delved deep into this, and this resonated with so many people. Then we looked at friendships and how it's okay that friends are just there for a season, but the feelings that it can bring up when a friendship does break down. Then we looked at work relationships and how the relationships you have with people who you speak to on a day-to-day basis can have a massive impact on your life, on the way you show up and come across, on your confidence levels. And people were surprised that I was covering this. Like, people weren't necessarily associating the heart chakra with things to do with work, but it absolutely does. If you are speaking to somebody on a regular basis, that is a relationship. It's not necessarily a romantic or a friendship, but it is a work relationship. Then we looked at family relationships. Now, obviously, as I kind of covered this last week as well in the podcast, but like those relationships that we have with our family members, they change over time. If we are let down by people, or people aren't there, family members aren't there for us, then that has a massive impact on how the rest of our lives progress. Like those experiences, how they affect our future experiences. So we looked at that as well. And then finally, we looked at the relationship with yourself. Like, in my opinion, the relationship with yourself is the most important one. So like putting other people's needs before your own, apologizing when you've done nothing wrong, being kind to other people and not looking after yourself, holding on to guilt of things that are long gone, like the person, if somebody else is involved, like that person has long forgotten it, but you are holding on to it, like beating yourself up about it. So those are the emails that people received from me last week, and they really struck a chord with some people. And obviously they made me think a little bit deeper as well about, you know, how I have been affected by loss of trust in you know, all sorts of different relationships in my life. And as you know, like the one that's affecting me most at the moment is, you know, these changing relationships with family members, and in a really good way though. It's actually in a really heartwarming, heartfelt, beautiful way. But I'm really reflecting on that lots at the moment. If you listened to last week, then you'll know that, because that was all I was going on about last week. But I also opened up a little bit in one of my emails about a friendship that, I'll be honest, I thought was forever. And we ended up drifting apart as I delved more and more into my journey of my self-discovery. This friendship grew further and further apart. And sadly, that is what happens a lot of the time. And if you are on some sort of self-development journey, some sort of spiritual journey, which if you're here with me, then I'm guessing you are, then you might be able to resonate with that as well. Like, you might have realized that other people around you affect your energy. They affect your mindset, how you feel. So for me, that is quite a big one. Because when we are learning more and more about ourselves and learning more and more about what we want to bring into our lives, people tend to drop off because you're not necessarily for them anymore. They're not necessarily for you anymore, and that is okay. Anyway, so I wanted to just round that up, what we've been talking about this week, this month. And I thought a nice way to finish this whole theme off of trust in relationships, I thought it'd be nice to finish off with a few crystals that might, if talking about these different things has brought things up for you, or if you are finding that you are working through these things, then there are some crystals that might be able to support you through this. And as always, I just want to say, obviously crystals aren't going to fix any problems, but they can, if you use them with intention, they can support you through it. They can be a gentle companion through it. They can help you focus. They can help bring out self-compassion, feelings of healing, like they can help healing. So yeah, I just thought that might be quite a nice way to finish off this theme. So it probably goes without saying that the first one I'm going to start off with is probably the most obvious one, and I do talk about this a lot, and that is rose quartz. It is the crystal of unconditional love. It really helps soften your energy. It helps bring out your feminine energy, and feminine energy is all about compassion. It's all about nurturing. It's all about flow. So this is a really nice crystal that enhances your healing, anything that is being brought up for you, and anything that feels particularly difficult. Rose quartz will help that feel a little bit easier and a little bit more gentle for you. It's amazing for trust because it really supports both giving and receiving love. Rhodonite is another crystal that is great for supporting you through emotional healing. If there has been any break in trust, so any betrayal, any hurt, rhodonite is great for helping with that emotional healing that you might need. And it's great for offering you feelings of forgiveness. It offers you compassion whilst staying grounded. So to me, that means you are not going to overly forgive. You're going to forgive enough to be able to move on. Does that make sense? Not so much that you are going to let others take advantage of you. It's going to help you stay grounded. Pink opal is the next on my list, and I don't think I've ever mentioned pink opal. I've never worked with pink opal, but apparently it's amazing for an emotional reset. So if you've done the work, if you've suffered from heartbreak, if you've suffered from loss, emotional trauma, then pink opal is great for supporting inner trust and releasing any fear of being vulnerable again. And I just want to say, at this point, just remind you that any crystals that you work with, you need to set intentions with them. So if your intention is to release that feeling of vulnerability, then tell the crystal or tell whoever you talk to when you're holding it, say out loud your intention. I want you to support me through vulnerability, not feeling vulnerable anymore. Or I release any feelings of vulnerability. Okay, the next on my list is Amazonite. And since you might have been with me the first time I realised how amazing Amazonite actually is, especially for the heart chakra. I think it was when I was going through my the chakra episodes last year, obviously when I was doing the heart chakra, and realised how amazing Amazonite is. And since then, I've got a couple and I use them all the time. I quite often, you might actually often see me playing with it when I'm recording, because Amazonite is amazing for helping you set boundaries around truth. It's amazing for balancing the heart and the throat chakra. So hence why I use it quite a lot when I'm recording or when I'm doing courses and coaching. Like, it helps you to communicate openly whilst still protecting your energy. So it's great for allowing you to trust others without abandoning yourself and your needs. Next up is, I gotta make sure I write this. Need to make sure I say this right, because I've actually never heard of this one before. I've just had to look it up and look up the meanings of it. But chrysoprase, I've not used it, so don't take my word for it. This has just come up in a Google search today. But chrysoprase is amazing for working with your inner child and trust. And actually thinking about it now, just saying those words, it does sound like the kind of crystal I need to invest in for when I'm working with belief coding clients, because that is exactly what we do, is we work with that inner child, that past version of ourselves that needs healing. So it's beautiful for restoring faith after difficult emotional experiences. It's also good for attracting new love or dissolving bitterness or mistrust. So if you identify something that you need to let go of, somebody that's broken your trust, somebody that's let you down, and you find this holds you back, then chrysoprase might be a good crystal to look at to help you restore your faith in other people, in yourself. Okay, and then finally on my list, again, another one I've never used before is lepidolite. And apparently this one is great for emotional stability. So it can help calm you during emotionally charged moments. And I've looked into this a little bit further, and it actually contains lithium. And lithium is quite often used to help treat mental health problems, apparently. It's thought that it may protect and help create more neurons, the cells that pass messages in your brain. That might be another good one for working with my clients as well, actually. Yeah, it helps support transitions and fear of letting go around closeness, which obviously, if you've had a heartbreak, if you've been let down by people, if you've had your trust broken in relationships, then of course there is going to be a fear of letting people get close to you again. So if this resonates, then maybe lepidolite might be something for you to look into. Like, obviously, this list of crystals that I'm giving you, I'm not a crystal expert. I am not a scientist. But I have compiled this list of crystals that you might want to look further into. Like, do some research around these that I'm suggesting and see which ones resonate with you, or see if you have any sort of emotional reactions when you look into them. But also another thing to remember is quite often you can look into these and you can go, if you are into your crystals, then you might have already felt this, but you go to a crystal shop with a crystal in mind. But when you get there, if you're touching the crystals and just seeing how they make you feel, like being drawn, trusting which ones you're being drawn to, they're quite often the ones that will help you most with what you need at that moment in time. So yeah, I hope that helps if you're into crystals. Some other quick practices just to help round off this theme of trust in relationships. I've got a quick breathwork exercise for you. So focused, heart-centered breathing. So this is obviously focusing your energy, your attention on the area around your heart, so in your chest. And if you put your hands on that area, close your eyes, or not, you don't need to close your eyes actually. So actually you can do this wherever you are at the moment. Just put a hand on your heart and focus on slow, deep breaths. Like deep as in breathing from your tummy. Make sure your tummy expands. We should all be breathing like that anyway. But make sure that first part of the breath comes from your tummy and then moves up to your chest. And when you move to your chest, imagine your heart expanding with love, with compassion. And if you're able to, then do close your eyes and just focus on that sensation that you're feeling in that area as you imagine it opening up and filling with love. That sensation of your breath flowing into your heart space. Noticing those feelings of love. And as you exhale, just release any feelings of tension, particularly in that area, but anywhere that you feel tension. So if you're carrying it in your shoulders, then just let that release as you breathe out. So focused breathing on any particular area is really useful. But obviously for this, we're focusing on the area around our heart. And it's such a useful thing to do if you can focus your attention on that area. If you've been finding the journaling prompts that I've been giving you helpful, then something you might want to journal on this week is who or what am I ready to forgive? And that includes yourself as well. So who or what am I ready to forgive? What relationships have really affected how you show up for other people or for yourself? How you show up in life? What are you ready to forgive? Who are you ready to forgive? If you're feeling brave enough, then as always, come on over to my Facebook group and let me know in the prompt that I'll put in there. And just to round up, let's just have a look at some trust and relationship affirmations that you can use. You can use them how you want, whether you want to put a screensaver on your phone, write them on the mirror so as you see them, write them on your hand. Maybe you want a different one each day. So the first one is, I trust myself to choose love even when it feels vulnerable. It is safe for me to open my heart and connect deeply with others. I release fear and welcome love with compassion and clarity. I honour my feelings and trust the wisdom of my heart. Love flows to me and through me with ease. Let me know which one of those affirmations resonates the most with you and which one you think you'll use this week. Okay, thank you so much for joining me this week. Hope this has resonated with you. Hope you enjoy the looking into the crystals and let me know which one takes your fancy. If you enjoyed this episode, I'd be so grateful if you could rate, review or subscribe. It just helps other lovely listeners like you find the show. Thank you so much for being here and I'll see you next time.